All right. I think we should be live now. How are you guys doing? Welcome to. Oh, I think we're live now. um, welcome to the Resolume Weekly live stream. Glad to see you guys are all. You all made it again. As you can see, we upgraded the setup a little bit. I have now a webcam, and you can see my hands. Please let me know that the audio is all right. Um, so I know that I'm not speaking to nobody. Last week we threw a challenge, the Pathways challenge. I got a few cool clips sent. It was the first time we did a challenge, so I wasn't expecting too many clips, but I got quite a few clips. So the plan for today is mostly I'm going to do a little VJ set, so to speak, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes or something, with the footage made by our users and by some of the developers of Resolume who jumped in as well on this challenge. After that, it's time for questions. We can dive into some of the videos as patches. The one you see right now is a wire patch. The whole region over here, the SOL, Seed of Life, made by our STV in Motion, who is also in the chat, is also a wire patch. The Space W is a wire patch. The Polygon is a wire patch. The Neon Circus is a wire patch. And I got two clips from 2-digit Visuals, and Suzanne Mathieu sent me two clips. They are pre-rendered, as well as the bottom Seed of Life. But that's due to a technical difficulty. But we also have the source, so I can also show you the source. So Steve, I took your patch, and I took your clips you sent me, but I also made one of my own with your patch, if that's all right, with the parameters and animated myself. So I hope you're fine with it. So yeah. I'm trying something new as well. Last time you saw me using a VST in Resolume. This time I upgraded, and now I have a complete DAW running in wire. This is a machine by Native Instruments, and it runs inside of Resolume right now as a VST. You're not really supposed to do this, I think, but it works. I hope my PC holds up, because I'm doing the streaming, and I'm doing Arena, and I'm doing the DAW, so I hope it stands up. If this doesn't work, next time we're just going to work with audio clips again. But I thought it would be cool. So everything is BPM synced. Anyway, let's get to this. I got my MIDI controller mapped. If there's interest in this, I'll go over the MIDI mapping in a bit. And I also have some composition effects going on here that are also mapped to the buttons. So hopefully no mouse and keyboard during this little jam. So let's see what we can do. I hope the music is audible for you guys. Little effect made by one of the wire developers. Let's blow that world up, blow that planet up. That's a funny little clip. I have to manually restart the music every once in a while. So for who doesn't know, the video clips, the theme was pathways, so everyone did something with pathways. This one is my little contribution to it. I'll explain later how this works. But on each beat, the shape moves. I'll disable everything. You can see the movement. There's a few different movements options. I'll go through it later. I thought I threw this one in as well. This is one of the examples in Wire, but I think it fits with the Pathways theme. So I got some BPM synced effects. They're all 4 on the floor. Makes anything bounce. And the final one by Darian. This one is really heavy on my CPU, so I hope this one doesn't break anything. It's okay. And let's move on to the stuff made by Steve. I didn't BPM sync these, sorry. Forgot to BPM sync these. Oh, this one is nice. Good job, Steve. This one's really cool. That works really well. Put some effects on it. It really shoots. I like it. You rendered this with some blur, some bloom. Nice. And this one is the one I made myself. As you can see, this is these are just clips. These are rendered out, and this one is completely animated. So you just take a source and you animate it to the max. That's really nice. So yeah, cool stuff. How do you guys like the clips? Yeah, so the Seed of Life one is completely made in clips, in wire. We'll look into that in a bit. Show you how it's made. Uh, Actually, I don't have the. Yeah, oh, I can fork it. Yeah, I can fork it. So that's nice. The one I made, this one is also completely made in wire. This is a wire patch, and this is a wire patch. So this is not recorded content. This is all generated on the spot, as well as this one and this one too. And this is actually an effect. Um, so it takes a clip and then it makes it revolve around the little world with this nice fake 3D globe. So, what did you guys think of that little demo? Anything you want me to demonstrate in more depth? Hey, two-digit visuals. Thank you for sending in the clip. It's it's flying around the world right now, as you can see. I hope you enjoyed what I did with it. So let me give you a quick look into the. I was pressing buttons over here. These simply disable and enable the four on the floor bits. So here we have just a simple fisheye effect. And I maxed it out at, what is it, 26%, because I don't want a complete range of the exploding. So if I push it up, you can see this would be too, well, for most visuals this would be a too extreme effect. So just very subtle. It's a very neat trick because you can make anything pump. That's nice. Shift RGB on the beats. You've seen me do this before on stream. Very simple. Set a little bit of the parameters, a little bit of RGB shift, and then map the distance again. Not all the way up because that would be like quite extreme, which is possible, but not today. I have a radial blur. Also just four on the floor. And a regular blur. So this blur is better demonstrated with something that has lines, like the bounce. So what I did with the blur is the opacity is 4 to the floor on the beat. So it runs from 0 to 50. So it's never fully active anyway. And then the y and x distance are offset by a beat. So one time it shoots out to the left and right, and the other beat it shoots up and down. And it is a very low quality, low Gaussian blur, because then you still can see the lines. It also just becomes too much of a blur. So it's a little bit like an offset on the beat effect. So that was my MIDI setup. Oh yeah, and I had a hue rotate mapped to this parameter. So if I wanted to hue shift clip 1 into clip 2 or something like that, it would be possible. I have to admit, like, VJing on a stream was kind of scary. I'm okay with a huge crowd, and but now like doing everything in just a few minutes was a little bit hard. And then I have 2 displacements, because I always like doing the displacements on the beat like this. And with all the BPM sync stuff, it's of course the BPM sync stuff is cool, and the FFT stuff is also cool. But there's also something to say for just the human touch doing something on the beat, especially if you're doing VJing at music that is not 4 to the floor techno or house. I VJ'd for jazz bands, rock bands, hip hop or like more experimental electronic acts, then you cannot rely on the four to the floor boom boom boom, because the beat is not boom boom boom. Um, no, that's a good question for the people in the stream. We always, or at least we always do stuff four to the floor because it's a clear demonstration. What's like the weirdest music genre that you have ever VJ'd for? Like, give me your weirdest gig in the comment section. Or in the chat. I'm curious, like what kind of stuff um, you guys have been through with VJing. I have to think about mine, but. Uh, I think I did once like a death metal, brutal, yeah, like a metal band I did once. And it's interesting because that stuff really gets corny like really fast. So mostly I just did glitch, noise, destructive things to make it happen. Anyway, that was the. I think that was the um, MIDI patching as far as I did. So the MIDI was really, really basic. I have a few faders here, like 1 layer, 2 layer. That's not that interesting. No questions yet. So maybe we can jump um, into the wire patches and already help me think about the next challenge, because I would like to continue this little get together we have and uh, write out some of these challenges more often. So, well, I'll start explaining my own patch because that's the one I know best. So, Parker Russell says, "I've technically followed a camera dolly's movement. You did that with wow, uh huh. So how did that work? So there was a dolly running. For people who don't know, a dolly is a camera on rails. Um, and you followed that with VJing. How did that work? Explain. I'm curious. Anyway, I'll continue to show off my patch here. All right. First off, we have some movement. Um, so it in essence, I'll take the effects off. In essence, we have a polygon, like a really complex polygon, and its movement is getting randomized. And you can say, like, I want to animate 1 point at a time, but the shape is sort of in a clever way mirrored. So even though I say solo, it moves 2 points. A mutation, this is sometimes double, sometimes it's a division of 8 in a 10 instance signal, so that it doesn't really, I call it mutation because this is the weirdest movement pattern, not very useful. In pairs, so there's always 2 points moving around, and here half of the points move around, and I prefer this one. Party trends on 3 side trends on 3 drops. Nice, Steve. And all animates all the points. Should animate all the points at the same time, but I did. No, it works, but somehow it's not on each beat. So I probably mispatched somewhere. Then I have a color slider. It does, the color changes to the center. There's a feedback loop with the hue saturation in it. And then smoothing is how long it takes from shape A to B. So this is like the fastest. But I wanted to have something that could like work on each beat, as we seen during the demo. And when the beat sort of fades or there's a break in it, I can increase the smoothing and it just becomes this abstract, ever moving visual, because the smoothing is longer than the triggers are. So you don't see, even though this is technically on the beat, there's a 6 second delay, so that yeah, you don't see that. Let's look at the comments. Punk, punk, doing punk VJing. Ah, all right. Now I understand the dolly as well. Punk is cool, and doing psytrance on psytrance on 3 drops. I don't think I could work anymore if I do that. Let me walk you through the patch. Open up wire. I used to have this VJ's. I used to VJ in a club, and we had complete control of creative freedom over what we did. So it was a very nice. And I think at some point we were using 7 beamers at the same time, and then really late at night we got tired, and you've been VJing from like 11 in the evening, and it's 4 o'clock in the morning. You're really tired, and the people in the audience didn't really care anymore, and it was a little bit of an underground place. So we wrote a little program that would go to Jiffy and just grab GIFs and project it on the screens randomly. That was yeah. We didn't do that with Resolume, but we just I don't know in which we wrote it, but you were able to just project GIFs on the wall, and then we could go take a break. Question: I would like to see if reaction diffusion can be achieved in Wire with feedback. I know there's a plugin for it, but it would be nice to see it in Wire. I have to be really honest. I am too much of a non-scientist to know what reaction diffusion is. Is this something I can Google? Anyway, the patch that I was working on, that I just demonstrated, so we have to turn it on here as well. And I'm going to close down Arena because my computer is getting really hot. We can go back to that later, but I'm just running this all on a basic laptop. So, in essence, we have a polygon which does everything, which gets edged, and that's sort of the shape. What I'm doing is I'm taking the transport beat. Here we explained why the all mode doesn't work. Let's fix that. And I can also turn off my MIDI controller now. You guys don't need to see that. So we can see the entire screen. And I can have a keyboard, an actual keyboard again. So what I am doing right here is I have 10 random flow 2 points modulating a circle pattern. I add them together. I smooth the duration between the changes, and then I'm inserting the negated, so the opposite values after the original 10 values. So we end up with 20 points. So we have the collection here. We negate it, and then we add it behind the first array or collection. I hope that makes sense. So we end up with 20 points, which point 0 to 9, index 0 to 9, index 1 to 10 is the normal polygon. You can take a look at that. So this is the normal shape. And then we have the negated shape, right? Just to demonstrate that they are both legit values. And then we add them after one another. And then we get this, which is sort of a mirrored shape, but not like the mirror. Some random nodes left over. I create an edge of it. I create an edge of an edge. And then I render it out, right? It gets multiplied with a gradient, and it gets thrown into a video mixer with some scaling, negative scaling, so it goes infinitely into itself, and it is slightly rotated, so we get a more complex shape. And here we have the hue rotate. As you can see, if I turn it off, everything becomes red. And I hue rotated it each frame by a very, 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 very little amount, and that gets thrown into the video mixer. Now for the interesting part, I think, is I gave it the movement parameter. So now it moves, when it's set to all the 10 points gets, these are triggers, I should say. These values are not very relevant. These are triggers. So we get a trigger each beat, right? But I need 10 triggers because I have 10 random nodes. Because I have 10 random nodes. So I expand it to 10. Basically, this value, this trigger just gets repeated 10 times. And then I have here circulates with different amounts of circulation. So if you don't know what the circulate node does, it's easiest to see here. It gets a trigger and then it sends out a trigger on each of its channels one after another. And again, these get expanded. So I make sure we always end up with 10, right? And then I use a switch to say, okay, I want all. So you can now, currently it's on all because I just take the trigger from the beat in and I just make 10. And I can do a half of it. Then I take every other beat. I think this is my preferred look. Pairs. So this is 5. So there's 2 points at a time that should be moving. Yeah, you can see it here. Values changing. It's 2 at a time. It's 4 at a time. This is weird at a time because I made a division of 8 here. I'm expanding an 8 into a 10, so there's always a rest. This was just an experiment. I don't think it's a very good mode. And that's the mutation mode. And then I have a solo mode, which just each trigger gets sent out one by one. This doesn't have an expand because I want each value one by one. So this is actually the best visualization of what circulate does. Like each point gets, if we look at the just the polygon itself, you can see there's only 1 point at a time that is moving when we are in this solo mode. Yeah, circulate is cool. There you can do a lot of clever stuff with it. Also, yeah, just get more creative time divisions with it. And now 2, like so in the pairs, only two points move at the same time. Half of the points move at the same time. And all of the points move at the same time. So these are sort of the moves I made. This is sort of a little hack you can do for faking instance counts as well, like giving users control over the instance counts, because we have the auto spam. I made a video, I talked about that in the last live stream, but basically what you are allowed to do now, you could say that you have, let's say you have a linear node and transform, and I have a circle. I have 10 circles. Right, so we want 10 translation points, but nowadays you're allowed to just send in 2. And Wire expands that for you, right? That's allowed now. So what you could do is, let's say we put it into the pack, right? But you could say, well, we have a switch with, because you cannot, we don't have dynamic instancing in Wire yet, but you could do something like this. So we have a 2, we have a 4, we have a 6, an 8, and a 10. So these all go into here. And you could say, okay, I want 1. Now I'm looking at pattern 2, pattern 3, 4, 5. So this is a way a lot of people asked about, like, can we dynamically change the instance count? No, you can't. This is a little hack around it. I just wanted to show you that. I hope you guys understand. Looking into the comments, Morphogenesis is the Resolume plugin. Oh yeah, I know which one you mean. I will throw it to one of the guys at Resolume who is more into math than I am. I'm not clever enough to tell you if that effect is achievable right now. So I'll ask one of the guys. There's no such option, so I'm wondering what the dev reason for it. Um, Someone asked me if there's an option in Arena to loop a clip with a dissolve between the end and the beginning. With a dissolve between the end and the beginning that will smooth the unlooped clips. I don't get your question, Steve. What is the effect you're looking for? Do you mean the dissolve video effect in this case? Anyway, I think I talked enough about my little submission for the challenge. I want to take a look at Steve's patch. You already warned me. No, Mark, don't do it. It's really messy. Awesome. So I think I should be able to fork it. We're gonna find out. So how did you guys like the MIDI controller camera thing? Was that useful? Is that a useful shot? I'm waiting for Arena to boot, but my computer is having a really hard time with the stream today. I don't know why that is. Yes, there we are. All right, so I have Arena right here. I'll take the seed of life, and then this should be the fork. Oh. So that should fork it. Oh, damn, Steve. Well, guys, I'm not going to explain you how this patch works, but it is cool to just take a look into, see what other people, make, and how does that look. So what I just did is Steve created this effect, or this source called the seed of life, and I just created my own variation for it. There's a guy called the APC40 extender. Yeah, nice. Love the APC. It's the best VJ controller in my opinion, in our opinion. So what I did is I forked it. That means the original stays intact, but you create a new one, a copy, and then you open wire. It automatically opens wire, so you can take a look. So no, I actually don't want to do it. There's even some comments here. Here's the hexagon. So let's see. He did everything with polygons. So we take the size. Of course he did, because he needs the little balls to flow over it, right? So this trick you see here above is something that I showed on the stream last week. He uses the linear interpolation of it's a huge patch. Steve got got a big patch, and I cannot lie. So what he does is he takes the size of the Flow 2 collection. It has 6 values because he wants to create a hexagon, which is 6-sided. and then he takes has a saw oscillator with an amplitude equal to the size of the collection, so that's an amplitude of 6. And then he reads through the values. Normally that would be read value 0, read value 2, read value 3, but nowadays we have interpolation, so you can read in between two values. That gets delayed. So that's how we end up with the little balls. I already thought about how did he make the trails. But if you do it this way, you do end up with rendering 40 shapes. So I think it would be more effective to do this with video feedback loop, probably. But that also has disadvantages, of course. But I don't know what is faster, rendering 40 shapes or rendering an extra frame. I don't know. And it doesn't matter. This patch is running pretty well. And then he transforms the transform. To rotate it by 0.5. So you get the opposite and a mirrored shape. Well, I'm gonna assume that the other shapes also work like this. Let's pick some other stuff apart. So the petals, those are nice to see how they are made. We have two shapes. Using the intersection. I like that idea. Yeah, that's a cool idea. To be honest, I didn't touch the intersection node myself a lot because I didn't find an awful lot of use for this. But this is a cool example, and I'm gonna drag it down because it does show, like, this is how Steve made it. And what you could do, for example, is take a line, make it with a line, with an x of 0 and x of 0, and a circle. And instead of intersecting it, create a union between them. And then probably make the circle a lot smaller. So just show it. I'm not saying this is a better way. I'm just showing there's multiple ways to get to a similar result. I do like that the edges are a lot sharper than what I'm getting here. So yeah, nice work. Cool. All right, we demoed some of this stuff, some of Steve's stuff. I showed you how to create a fork. Is there anything else you guys would like to see? I would love to explain you how this one works, but I don't know that myself. Oh, it's sacred geometry, Mark. I'm really sorry. Did I insult something or someone? Yeah. Any requests? Stuff you would like to see? Do I have because I would be interested in looking at the morphogenesis stuff. Do I have that installed? No, I don't think so. No, I don't have that effect installed right now. So I think that's a difficult effect to make because it's this infinite loop, right? It's no, I don't think I can pull that off. No, I'm pretty sure I can't. Yeah. Let's do another challenge. Does anybody have a suggestion for another challenge? Like a nice theme that would be cool. Let's see if I can think of something. Well, last time we did a source um, challenge, right? So what we could do is host a little effect challenge. That's a lot harder. I find effects to make. I find it harder to make effects than it is to make um, sources. So yeah, I think that would be a good challenge. It's also a little bit more creatively free than um, how you say creatively free than the pathways examples. So uh, how do you make a video effect? That's of course a good one. You need to have at least a texture in and a texture out, and you need to save it as an effect. That's most important. We do have a template for it, so you can go to a video effect template. It puts in a hue rotate by default, but you don't need to do that. So you have the this is the most essential, most basic of an effect, and you do not need uh, a wire license to participate in this challenge, because once you're done with your effect, you can simply press copy for sharing and share with me the code, right? So if you do copy for sharing and you go to paste it, you get something like this. And this can just be shared over the web. And I think that you should be able to do this in the trial version as well. All right. I was just thinking out loud a little bit, but the new challenge for next week would be create a video effect. And I will just start with my challenge already. And if anybody has questions in the comments section, um, I will answer them. And else, this is going to be live patching for the next couple of minutes. So I need texture in, texture out. I'll use the wire logo. And I would like to do something with UVs because I do not have a lot of experience with those. So that is going to be my little thing. I can have a UV offset. I am planning on doing a UV tutorial in the near future, but I need some more experience with it myself first. And I think fractal noise is what the guys always use for this. And then you can offset texture 1 with texture 2. And you can break away the thingy. So you could say only over the X. Is that a thing? Yeah, that's the thing. All right, I want to wrap. This is me just experimenting. If you guys have any question, because I don't see any questions in the comments, so I'll just play around. Hmm. So we have two values here, the multipliers. Let's randomize those. Put in some noise, see if that's nice. Which is your favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle? Wow. I used to have this comic book of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when I was a kid. And there was this guy, there was a one turtle once upon a time who had a black mask. I think he was called Slash. And he had like Wolverine. He was a total Wolverine knockoff. But he was badass. So that's my favorite turtle, I guess. Frequency down. An interference effect. All right. You know what? I'm gonna grab a clip, an actual clip, because I have a hard time just looking only at a logo. That's not a good clip. Yeah, I just want to have something like this going on, random clip. So I'm just going to use a random clip because it's better, gives me the idea of how it would look with an actual effect or with an actual clip. And then we have the wrap. Let's increase the amplitude, but I want to make that gives me this, it's a bit like a dissolve or something like that. But I guess I also would like to increase the frequency. All right. Let's see if we can change some things on the burger noise, because I think there's a lot to be modulated on the actual offset. Of course, we can also just like modulate the fractal noise. Let's start doing that, right? Because now this is just a static thing. But we could have a saw going into a pack. The fractal noise wants a 3, float 3, so we'll give it a 3. I'll leave the first two because that's just the x and the y axes. I'll do an amplitude of time. I just want system time, something like that. That's too fast. Transport time. Is that a value? Is that a workable value? I think that's a workable value. And it's a bar, so it's always changing. So you have no repetitions. I used to do like a saw and then set the saw to having an amplitude of 10,000 and a speed, extremely low speed, but that will eventually wrap, right? All right, all right, all right. So just disconnect it just to see what's going on here. Let's expose this, see what else, or show all, because there's some hidden features. So if I make it less dense, we get a lot bigger shapes. We get something like this. Oh yeah, baby. Now we're rolling. This is something we can work with. I'm already digging it. As an interference destruction effect. We're getting wavy up in this. What happens if I just put this to 10? But then put the frequency down. This gets destructive really fast, but I don't mind that too much. Texture in. Let's just see what it does to a text card. So this is what is actually happening. Would this make it softer? But we still get this huge. Of course, it can retain. So that's nice, right? So we can have this really like aggressive, but then give the user control over the gain. Like, how extreme would you like this effect? Well, I want it super extreme. And then there's nothing left of your texture anymore. But we can also make it subtle. Well, as far as you can call it subtlety. I don't think the channels are doing much. We can change the algorithm and maybe make it an absolute. That would make a lot of. Well, that's a shitty idea. That's a shitty idea. So we have the absolute, right? So the thing is, we have probably too much white, because that's what's getting the offset. So if I just reduce the gain here, whoa, that's trippy. What if I increase again? All right. This is, I'm really just experimenting here. Screw logic. Just pausing it for a second here, the clip, to see what we are actually doing. So we're getting quite wavy here. Well, I could decrease this even further, but that just gives us, or increase it. So the increase in the density is basically scaling upwards. So this is really, really, really zoomed in. And if you zoom a lot out, you would just have noise, and then go somewhere in between. Go really. All right, then maybe we should put some effects on the fractal noise itself. What if we create a feedback loop with fractal noise and then use that as a UV offset? Just thinking out loud. Well, that doesn't work, of course. We could, yeah, that can work. If then there's a, oh, not a text render. We do not need a text render. Transform this. Of course, it doesn't work because it runs over itself. All right. I don't know if it's a useful effect, but it's an effect. All right, I'm starting to understand a little bit how this UV stuff works. So it gets offsetted by the color, right? So we have our fractal noise. I try to create a feedback loop to create an interesting UV. What I think would be nice is auto masking this. And put the twist out of it, because that ruins it. And ditch the transform. Reverse this. All right, this gives us an interesting view. Lower the density again. is there really much difference? Well, yeah, it is different. Question from Steve. Loop a clip that it's not looped. Can the clip be dissolved at the end of the mix? Beginning using only that one clip slot. So you would say you need a clip that just dissolves at the end, right? Someone wants to loop a clip that is not looped. So you have something like that is chunky, right? So that's just if you of course can always loop it, but if it loops, it's the clip itself is not nicely looped. Can the clip's ending be dissolved into the clip's beginning? So that would need you would need some kind of automatic fade in and fade out effect, right? Is that something that would work for you? Because maybe we can make it in wire. I don't know. Is that what you mean? An automatic fade in, fade out effect. Let me know if that's what if that would work for you. Because I think you do have some of course, yeah. The problem is we don't have info of the clip playing. What's the info we have? What's no, that doesn't work. Yeah, I'm just trying to think with you. Because if you would have a clip like this, you, of course, if you open up the visibility, show all, you do get something like position and its length, which is in seconds. So I'm just assuming that you want an automatic fade in and fade out effect. But you would need to get this info, like position, length, and phase, from Resolume. You would need a node that gives you this, because then you can just say this one has, for example, a length of 8 seconds, and you could say greater. So if the current position is greater greater than the length, let's say minus 0.4 or something like that. Oh, 0.4. This would give you a boolean to know if you're almost at the end of the clip. But that works in wire. You would need this info about a clip. So that's a good one. Yeah, you could do crossfade with a delay, I guess. So yeah, you would need the position and the length of a clip in wire. You would need those values to create an effect like that. That's not currently done, I think. But Zoltan and Christoph are also here to the help. Oh damn! I see that it's already 6 o'clock. That means I need to run. With a wire patch as an effect, you can get the clip position by animating a parameter. Of course, yeah, that also works. Yeah. I think Zoltan will help you out further. I need to close the stream down because I have to run. Thank you all for joining in. This was a little bit of different stream than normally. A lot more wire stuff and user generated stuff. I think it was fun. I hope to see you guys next time. Yeah, and I'll write out and I'll make a short video on the challenge and post it on the Facebook and the groups, and so that people can see what they can do. And would be nice to have a next stream and then have a whole bunch of new effects created by Wire users. I think that's the goal for next week. Anyway, um, I'll see you guys next week, and for now, I'll be signing off. Bye bye. Oh, whoa! Just before just before the end, I see a comment from Kid Blast Sound System. Thank you for joining the stream, and thank you for sending in clips, and that counts for everybody, by the way, for Steve and for Two Digit Visuals as well. Thank you for sending in your clips, and looking forward to the next little challenge. All right, bye bye.